Hey everybody, it's Stacey Duffy here, your Denver Metro real estate resource, and time for my monthly Denver housing market update. So, as y'all know, if you've watched any of these before, I'm going to show you some graphs. I want to show you patterns, visuals, and context because that really gives you a better understanding of market updates than just numbers, because the numbers without context aren't really helpful. Okay? So, as I mentioned in last month's video, which I'll link to up above and down below, which you can go back and watch, but the gist of last month's video was, hey, prices are going to bottom out here for December and January closings, which are November and December shoppers. Okay? So think about that because typically our escrow process or closing timeline, if you're getting a loan on a property, is going to be anywhere between 3 and 5 weeks traditionally. So, in all these numbers where we talk about how the prices are closed prices, essentially what the house sold for, list price is a totally different thing that I'm going to talk about at the end a little bit. But our closed prices are going to be the people who are shopping the month before and getting under contract the month before, since we're always, 4, 5, 6 weeks back based on the picture. So sure enough, look at this. December, we're down for the South Metro Denver Realtor Association County Metro selection. So that does include Boulder and some of the others, but most of the Denver Metro area. We're down to $551,750 for a median closed price. That's the lowest it's been since between January, February, earlier this year. Last year. It's 2023 now. So back about 12 months. No surprise, as I mentioned in last month's video, we typically bottom out in December, January on those closed prices. So, as I mentioned, I always think it's a great time to buy in October, November, December. And that's a good time to go shopping because then you get the most leverage. You have sellers that need to sell. The only buyers are the ones that really want to buy, and you have some options. Not only do you have choices, you have time to make those decisions. You have leverage. I have a buyer under contract right now that we negotiated on the price. The seller is doing repairs. We have some options. We have time. We're not having to compete. I just closed on an investment property for myself because I like shopping in that time of year. So our prices are bottoming out. I'm going to guess the January closed prices, I think, are going to be about flat to December, maybe a little bit lower, just based on showing and activity and stuff in the market. December was really, really, really slow for showings and transactions and things like that. A few more investors picking up deals, though, because the investors realize the deals are made on the buy. Okay, the rate is a short-term question. Excuse me, as we like to say, marry the house, date the rate. So with the rate changes, they came down a little bit in November, went back up towards the end of December, but we, as investors realize that rates are a short-term thing. You can refi when rates adjust, and you can save on your monthly cost. There's cost to refi, so you budget for that and say, okay, what makes sense? But if you can get 10, 15% off the price of a house, then that's equity that you have as soon as that market recovers and that market comes back. Or if it's a long-term hold, it really doesn't matter. Because as far as the rate is not as important as long as you're, still cash flowing on the property. So anyway, closed prices are bottoming out. No big surprise there. Going over to, I want to look at dollar per square foot because we're actually cheaper now than we were this time last year. This is back to, I guess, about October. Yeah. October 21. So the price hasn't gone down quite as much, but people are getting more house for the same money. Okay. Have I mentioned before, I love buying this time of year, November, December. So if you're wanting to buy before the spring market comes back a little bit, you still have some time, probably the next 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks or so. I'm not quite sure how long it's going to take to come back, but I already have clients that are reaching out to me and setting up appointments to get started in January and February, late January and February, because they want to get ready for the spring. Okay. So percentage of closed price to list price is one thing I want to talk about because this is really what conveys buyer leverage this time of year and buyer power in a way, your ability to negotiate as a buyer. So 99.1, and this is median. Let's look at some context because you know me, I like context and data, right? Let's back it up a little bit. Okay, 5 years, still relatively flat. People are getting what they're asking. So 2009, 10, 11, obviously there was a lot more volatility in the market. However, the last couple of years have been nuts, guys. This is the most buyer leverage we've had since 2019 as far as sale to list price, most buyer negotiation opportunity. Also, I want to look at supply, because what this shows you is everyone's like, oh my gosh, houses are sitting around, nothing is selling. Okay, this is still a really, really low supply situation. There are lots of people that need a place to live. And the thing is, all those people, because there's snow on the ground. We just got a few more inches last night. We got a foot about 4 or 5 days ago. A lot of people don't want to trudge around and go look at houses to buy this time of year. That happens every year, obviously. Less people list their houses for sale, less people go buy them this time of year. So you have more option or more leverage as a buyer. However, when it comes to inventory, you can see we're still not quite back to 2018, 2019 levels. Okay. We still don't have as much to buy as there was then, even in the slower time of year with more houses sitting around. Okay. There's a lot less new listings, obviously, and I know this is a very volatile graph, but this just shows the seasonality of when people list homes and make them available to buy. So we've had less new listings now in December, back to 2011. All right, that's pretty low. I didn't realize it was quite that low. And our active listings are pretty low. So yes, we have more available right now. It feels like, oh my gosh, there's tons of houses to buy. Nothing is selling. Okay, that's because look at the last couple of years, the context, guys. Like, it's all about context, which is why I love these graphs and love giving you some data. So, days in the MLS for our sellers. Let's look at this. Yeah. Said this last month. I was like, it's going to get worse. And lo and behold, and it did. Okay. And then January is going to show, I don't think January is going to show us pretty high when this numbers come out in February, because I think things are going to pick up about maybe third week. Sometimes they pick up the first or second week. Last year, it actually started in December, which was weird. It started a lot earlier, which is why you didn't have the seasonal spike like you do right now. The market didn't take that long to adjust because 2021 was just nuts. But I think January is going to pick up this third, fourth week or so. We'll see kind of what the rates do. That's really going to be the factor. If those rates dip, I think a lot of people are going to come back in, and our activity is going to kick back up. Our showings are going to kick back up. So, but you can see things are sitting around. Yeah, they're sitting around, but there's still not a ton to buy relative to what's been available in the past, short of the last couple of years. It's a lot compared to the last couple of years. It's not a lot in the bigger picture. So I think that's probably the gist of what I wanted to show y'all. The inventory, the close price, the dollar per square foot, seasonality, guys. So what the takeaway is from this is you see things always pick up in the spring. They pick up in the spring, March, April, May, February. It usually starts in February, which shows January shoppers. So people start shopping in January. Those numbers reflect in February, and they usually climb through middle of the year. Rates are going to determine, I think, some of that climb, but it's going to happen. All those people that haven't been able to buy the last 2 or 3 years because they didn't want to give their firstborn child their left leg and $100,000 and waive their inspections, they haven't had a spring market to buy in for a while. So I think a lot of those buyers are going to come back into the market. I think sellers are going to realize, man, last spring was nuts. I didn't want to list because I wasn't sure what was going on, and the prices tanked. I'm glad I didn't. And they're going to feel good that they didn't list the second half of the year. And I think some of that demand is going to come back. So if you're wanting, as a buyer, if you're wanting to get in before that spring market gets hot and heavy and there's competition, I'd say you probably got about a month. And then, doesn't mean you can't buy in February, March, April. A lot of people do. It just means you're going to have some competition. You got to be prepared for that. Okay. If you are very, very picky on the type of house, then that is your market to buy in. You need more options. Options are going to happen in February, March, April, May. More choices. If you are picky on neighborhood, finishes, layout, all of that kind of stuff, that's going to be a better market for you. You just got to be willing to pay for the options. Okay. If you are not as picky and you don't have as much to negotiate with, you don't have as much on down payment, or maybe you're doing a low down payment FHA, VA loan, or something like that, or you don't have as much room in the budget and you want some negotiation room, you want the seller to make some repairs, get in that next month or so if you can. Don't try to time things perfectly with your lease. I'll link to another video up above and down below about the right time to buy is going to cost you money. So there's different ways to leverage that. Talk to your realtor. If you're in the Denver metro area, please reach out to me. I love strategizing about these with my buyers and my sellers to make the best situation take advantage of the market to the best of their situation. It's a better way to say it. So anyway, please feel free to reach out to me. Link for my information is down below. If you need me in another area, I have a form down below. I have a wonderful database of other agents. I'd love to match you with somebody if you're moving from here to another market or from somewhere else to Denver. Let me know. I'll connect you. I'd be happy to do that. So thanks so much for the time. Hopefully this was helpful for y'all. If it was, hit the like button. Help somebody else find it. Thanks so much and have a great day.